Dear students, now we are moving to the rest of the nervous system, that is, the sense organs of Calotes versicolor. Generally, among reptiles, there are three different organs are prominent. What are they? They are called olfactory organ or the organ of smell, then optic organ, that's eye, and statoacoustic organ. That means acoustic means ear and stato means balancing. The ear as a balancing organ. That means the third organ is called the ear. So this organ of smell, organ of sight and organ of balancing generally includes the sense organs of Calotes versicolor. So let's move to the detail of each one. The first one is called the Jacobson's organ. I told you that this is a prominent organ which is mainly concerned with the smell. Here you can see that this is the Jacobson's organ which is found in a snake. This is a small sac-like structure which is generally pigmented cells lined by olfactory epithelial cells. And this sac is always connected to the mouth by a small duct. That is called, that doesn't have any name, but it is generally attached, it will be connected to the mouth by a small narrow opening, that is a duct. Then this particular organ will be communicated to the brain by means of two different branches of nerve, that is called olfactory nerve and trigeminal nerves. So the Jacobson organ will be connected to the brain, or the interactions or the messages are passed in between the Jacobson's organ and also the brain by means of these two nerves. Then what about the functions of this organ? This is mainly concerned with appreciating or understanding the scent particle which is generally spread in our air. And also, in addition to this sense of smell, it is also concerned with testing the quality of food that is present or that is held in mouth. So that is the two important functions of this particular organ. Then comes the second organ, that is called the organ of sight or a paired eyes. In Calotes, it consisting of a pair of eyes which are generally lateral position. That means they are present not in front but in the two different left and right side of this particular organism. Okay, then this eyes, what about the eye? The eyes are provided with a movable upper as well as lower eyelids. Then in addition to that, there is a third eyelid that is called the nictitative membrane, and associated with this eyes you can see certain kinds of glands like tear glands for moistening the eye. So these are the main structure which is associated with the eye, that is upper and lower eyelids, third eyelid called the nictitative membrane, and the glands. Then among reptiles, they are generally having a monocular vision. What does it mean by monocular vision? As the eyes are present on the right as well as the left part, each eye has its own range of vision, which means the right part of the eye is able to visualize those things in the right part and the left eye is able to visualize those things in the left part. For more clearly, the two eyes cannot focus with each other to the same object. What about mammals like human beings? We have actually binocular vision because the two eyes are generally positioned on the front side, and these two eyes will converge the light to the retina and we will get only an image of an object. We cannot differentiate those what about the image in right side and what about the image in left side simultaneously. Okay, we can see only an object by means of the function of the two eyes. Okay, that is called binocular vision. So just unlike in higher organisms, this reptiles is generally having monocular vision. That means each eye has its own range of vision. Then what about the structure of eye? Eyeball structure is somewhat similar to most of the organism. It is consisting of an outer coat that is called a scleroid coat, a middle coat that is called a vascular choroid coat, and an inner coat, this white color, this is called a retina. These three layers generally constituting the eyeball. What about the sclerotic coat? I told you that this is the first part, outer layer, and this is a cartilaginous layer which is supported by small bones. Okay, then comes the choroid coat. Choroid is just below the sclerotic coat, and this is a middle layer, and this is vascular in nature. Vascular in the sense that it is filled with the many blood vessels. Okay, then comes the retina, and the retina is generally consisting of the nervous layer. This is the nervous layer. That is the third part. This is called the nervous layer, and this this is a nervous layer, and apart from that, this is a pigmented layer. So it consisting of many pigmented cells. That is called the rods and cones. The cones generally contains a yellow fluid which is able to filter the incoming light, and hence it will reduces most of the chromatic aberrations of light. Okay, so that's all about the retina. Then comes the interior part of this retina. Here you can see that there is a particular portion that is called area centralis. Area centralis is actually a sensitive spot at the back of this retina, and what is the peculiarity of this region is that it contains a heavy concentration of rod cells. So rod cell, as it contains higher amount of rod cells, this area will be the region of intense vision. So area centralis is a region, it is a region of intense vision because there is a heavy concentration of rod cells. This quite opposite to this particular term, there is another spot that is called a blind spot. Blind spot is nothing but this is the point where the optic nerve will merges into the eye. Here you can see that this is the blind spot region, and here you can see that the optic nerve will be communicating to the eye. And what about the peculiarity of this region is that, as we know here, there will be no rod cell as well as cone cells. So what may be the consequences of this particular region? Yes, if there is no rods and cones in this particular region, there will be no vision. That means, for more clearly, we can say that this is a region of blind vision. There will be no vision at this particular area. Okay. Then comes the eye glands. The eye glands is nothing but it is including the lacrimal gland and hard-earring gland. What may be the function of this glands? Yes, this glands will produce certain kinds of secretions. So, this lacrimal as well as the hard-earring gland produces a secretion which is mainly concerned with moistening and cleansing the eye. For making the eye in a moisture or in a watery nature, they will secrete the secretions. Otherwise, the eye becomes much more dry. So that's all about the eye glands. Then this choroid. So we have discussed about the scleroid and choroid and the retina. Then comes the cornea. This cornea is actually the anterior part of this eye. Here actually the sclerotic coat and the anterior part get modified into a transparent layer. That is called what? Cornea. That is called a cornea. Here you can see that the cornea. Anteriorly, the sclerotic coat will be continued as cornea. Okay, so the anterior part or the exposed part, this particular region or this sclerotic coat will be forming a transparent layer that is called a cornea. Then this region, this cornea will be supported by many kind of sclerotic bones and sclerotic ossicle because it is a continuation of what? Sclerotic coat. Then again this cornea, this transparent outpushing of the sclerotic coat will be covered by another structure that is called what? Conjunctiva. That is called a conjunctiva. This black thick colored region just found above the cornea is called the conjunctiva. It generally concerned with providing protection to the body, and also to a smaller extent it will pass the light. Okay, so that's all about the cornea. Then comes the detail of choroid coat. I told you that the choroid coat is actually the second or middle vascular layer of the structure of eye. And at the exposed, here also at the exposed part of the anterior part, this choroid coat will be modified into an opaque region that is called iris. This is called the iris. This is a region of opacity. Opacity means it will not transmit light. Then what about the function of this iris? This is called the iris. Then this on both sides you can see this a pair of eyes, and in between this iris you can see a small opening. This small opening is called the pupil, or the small space in between these two iris is called the pupil. And what about the function of this opening is that it will regulate the passage of light when it is passing from the conjunctiva into the interior of the eye. Okay, so iris can be divided, this particular eyeball, into two different chambers, an anterior aqueous chamber and a posterior vitreous chamber. So what about the peculiarity of this iris is that the iris part is actually the modified part of this choroid layer, choroid coat, and it is an opaque region. It generally leaves a small space called the pupil where the lens is located, and the pupil is concerned with the regulating the passage of light, and it will divide this iris will divide the eyeball into an anterior aqueous chamber and a posterior vitreous chamber. Then another structure associated with eyeball is called the pecten. This is called the pecten. It is a cushion-like vascular and pigmented structure projecting from the blind spot. I told you that the blind spot is the region where the optic nerve get merges, and here you can see that there is another structure, cushion-like structure. This is called the pecten. This is also called a conus papillary. The main function, you may be knowing that the function of pecten in birds, it is responsible for acute, the keen vision of bird is generally by means of this pecten. This pecten is here, it is mainly concerned with nourishing the retinal cells. Then comes the lens. So I told you that in between the iris there is a small space is present, and in this space the lens, a crystalline convex lens, is generally placed, and these are generally held in position by means of a special structure that is called a suspensory ligaments. Here you can see that in between this iris there is a small thread-like structures are there. This is called as suspensory ligaments, and by means of the suspensory ligaments the lens is able to fix them. Then comes the other structure that is called ciliary body. Ciliary body. The ciliary body generally consisting of two parts called ciliary muscles and ciliary processes. This is a thick and less vascular structure which is produced from the base of iris. Here you can see that this is the iris, and from the base of this iris these two structures are generally originated. Okay, the main function of this ciliary bodies is mainly concerned with the accommodation of lens, which means the lens is able to focus the light by means of the special mechanism which is done by this ciliary bodies, that is ciliary muscles and ciliary processes. Okay, അതായത് ലൈറ്റിലൂടെ വരുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഈ ലെൻസിലൂടെയാണ് ലൈറ്റ് റെറ്റിനയിലേക്ക് പതിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പം ഇവിടെ വരുന്ന ലൈറ്റ് വരുമ്പോൾ അതിനനുസരിച്ചിട്ട് ഫോക്കസ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ലെൻസിനെ ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സ്ട്രക്ചറാണ് ഈ ciliary bodies എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Ciliary body generally consisting of ciliary muscles and ciliary processes. Then the last one is called the statoacoustic organ. This is generally consisting of a pair of eyes, each ear consisting of two parts, a middle ear as well as inner ear. Middle ear is enclosed within a cavity that is called the tympanic membrane, and the middle ear will be communicated with the buccal cavity by Eustachian tubule, and the tympanic cavity communicated with the inner ear by